What if you could build an engine that actually runs on peace? Well, today we're diving into a pretty radical blueprint from our source materials that aims to do exactly that by making stability the single most profitable commodity on the planet. So let's just start with the big provocative question at the heart of this whole thing. Forget about traditional diplomacy for just a second. What if the most effective peace treaty wasn't a piece of paper, but a high return investment opportunity? The sources we've been digging into lay out this exact kind of paradigm shift. They're describing a model where peace stops being just some lofty moral goal and instead becomes a tangible, high-value, and, profitable piece of infrastructure, something as essential and reliable as an energy grid or a communications network. So where did an idea like this even come from? Well, our first section here looks at the diplomatic groundwork. The Abraham Accords are really presented as the catalyst, the spark that created a whole new conversation in the Middle East, one that puts economic cooperation and moderation ahead of historical conflicts. And that brings us right to the core concept, peace for profit. Now, this isn't just about money. Not at all. It's a synthesis. It's about blending a powerful moral story of dignity and responsibility with some really compelling economic incentives. The whole idea is to lower the perceived risk for investors, making stability so incredibly profitable that conflict just becomes, an unaffordable, illogical choice. Okay, but how do you actually get something like this started? The whole framework is designed like a self-perpetuating cycle, what the sources call the peace for profit flywheel, basically an engine designed to build its own momentum. Let's break down how it works. It's got 4 key steps. It all kicks off with moral legitimacy. You change the story to one of shared dignity and potential. That lowers the risk, which then attracts big-time investment for these large-scale proof-of-concept projects. That investment, in turn, creates real local prosperity, making stability way more attractive than chaos. And then finally, those profits get reinvested right back into the community, making the entire cycle even stronger. And here's the crucial insight. The entire flywheel is built on a really simple but powerful human principle. When people's livelihoods, their homes, their jobs, their kids' futures, are directly tied to high-tech infrastructure and a booming economy, they become its greatest defenders. You're literally creating a local stakeholder class that is invested in protecting their own high-value assets. So that brings us to the physical foundation of this whole blueprint. Who's going to build all this stuff? Well, according to the sources, Elon Musk is positioned as the architect of the technological hardware, the person tasked with actually creating the tangible, future-proof infrastructure on the ground. And we are talking about some truly transformative technology here. The plan involves rolling out autonomous transport systems, totally self-sufficient renewable energy grids, and AI-driven logistics. Look, these aren't just minor upgrades. They're designed to help entire regions leapfrog their outdated systems, turning them into what the sources are calling sovereign innovation zones. But, amazing hardware is basically just a fancy paperweight without a powerful operating system. So what's the software that's going to govern this new reality? The sources describe an AI-driven trust layer that's designed to manage the whole ecosystem and, crucially, ensure accountability. This system is called Genii, that's Genii, which stands for Generative Intentional Intelligence. Its whole purpose goes way beyond just analyzing data. It's designed to be generative, meaning it actively proposes new policies, new economic models, and new diplomatic solutions that are intentionally aligned with the shared values of the Abraham Accords, like cooperation and coexistence. The smartphone analogy from the sources just makes this relationship crystal clear. Think about it. Musk's infrastructure is the physical hardware of the phone. Genii is the operating system, the iOS or Android. You absolutely need both. The hardware gives you the tangible assets, but it's the software, the OS, that provides the rules, the trust, and the stability that makes the whole thing run smoothly and profitably. Now, I know this might all sound very theoretical, maybe even a little bit like science fiction. But the sources are really clear that this framework is already moving towards concrete, real-world applications. These are the first proof-of-concept projects designed to show that, yes, this model actually works. And where does the first proof of concept start? With the most basic human need there is, food. It's called the Miracle Bar Challenge, and the goal is to produce 2 million nutritional bars every single day. The idea is to prove that by solving a fundamental issue like hunger, you create the stable foundation you need to build peace and prosperity on top of. And from there, the ambition just scales up dramatically. We're talking about proposals to transform the Golan Heights from a military flashpoint into a demilitarized economic zone with things like wind farms and a luxury ski resort. Another idea is to use Gaza's rebuilding needs as a blank slate to create a futuristic model state from the ground up. Each one of these projects is designed to turn a site of conflict into a high-margin asset that everyone has a stake in protecting. But as we get to the end of this explainer, the sources themselves offer a really crucial and honestly sobering reality check. Because for all the talk about AI and autonomous systems, this whole blueprint has an ultimate dependency that technology just can't solve. Let's be super clear on this point. Even the most advanced AI and the most sophisticated infrastructure, at the end of the day, they're just tools. Powerful tools, for sure. They can create incredible incentives, they can lower risks, and they can present much better options. But they are not, and they can never be, an absolute guarantee of peace. And that brings us to the final and most powerful takeaway from the source material. In the end, this entire high-tech, profit-driven engine for peace relies on us, on people. The algorithms can show the path of least resistance, but it's humans who have to actually choose to walk down it. Sustained human commitment, political will, and ethical choices. That, according to the sources, is the only true operating system for a lasting, peaceful future.